charging him
So you think
homicide.
Absolutely.
A 20-year-old woman was driving.
No. Because like they were coming the opposite direction and you
Yeah.
have no reason, it was dark. It was 10:30.
Hey, can they see us?
Yeah. Hit by the rocks.
Be able to pinpoint it.
Yeah, I mean, we talked to the police,
Did you hear?
but
Holy shit,
like,
you literally.
I know, I had like the worst day.
Hey.
You all hear me?
Sorry about
This is Sam, I bet.
Oh, yes, newspaper guy.
Okay, cool. I can hear you.
There it goes.
How we are.
Come in, Jason.
Hi.
Hi, Chris.
Normally I'd be there in person, but I am getting over a cold that I'd rather not give y'all.
We appreciate that, so
Seems
thank
like
you.
there's a lot of fun going around.
Yeah,
Seriously.
it really is.
Yeah.
Okay, who, is that every? We're missing just, oh, Jesse.
Jesse said he was driving back late from his job and he was gonna try to join if he could. And it would be online. if he
Got
could.
We have a four.
I don't know. What is,
You do have quorum.
we do, right? 1, 2, 3,
It's
4.
quorum.
Oh, we have three.
It's not four.
4 is quorum and we have 6. Sweet. Shall we? Call to order.
Love it.
Oh, now Nikki's laughing at me. Okay.
Really happy.
And this is my first time doing this, so please bear with me. Okay, roll call. Do I like call names, I guess? See,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's typically what Melody does for SAP, and I think works well.
All right. Sam,
Here.
Jason.
Here.
CT.
Here.
Myself, here. Alex,
Here.
Casey, here. And I don't have to call the names of the people who aren't here.
I would note for the record who's not here.
Okay. For the record, Lindsay and Jesse Sievers aren't here. So I don't think we actually have anyone except Christopher, but Sam had a really wonderful idea that we start the meetings out by recognizing and welcoming any members of the public who are here. So we will do that in the future, but I don't think we have any other than Chris from the Mountaineer.
Chris Klein,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Chris Kelly, sorry.
Yeah. So welcome, Chris. And then and then similarly, Sam suggested, which I really like, just a quick like preview of the agenda, which we could put up on the screen. I don't think is necessary because everyone here probably already has it. But yeah, we'll do the approval of minutes, public comment if anyone shows up. And then we have several informational items. I think everyone's prepped for those. Discussion items, including Rhea Orthner with the Fisherman's Lot Wetland Project, who emailed in. So she is going to come give us kind of a briefing on that. And I know Nikki and Miranda know a bit about that too, so can definitely chime in if there's additional information. And then we'll move to action items, including the vote to appoint Casey as secretary, and then CT's item of renaming South Mud Lake. So I actually think, I don't think the minutes went around. Sam, did you have the minute? I know you're sick.
No, that's okay. I think it might have been confusing because what I did last time, and I'm not doing the minutes anymore. So, but from the last one, I actually just put them in the same document that we had, and I thought I communicated that, but it may have been confusing when we did it, but I didn't like resend them out. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah. Would you mind just sending them around and then
Yeah.
I can probably look at them next time?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep, in your next meeting.
I will do
Cool.
that.
Thanks, Sam. Much
Yeah, yeah.
appreciated. All right. Do we have any public comment? We do not. All right. Cool. So let's just bounce right into the informational items. Sam, I have you up first with the pump track update. I have you 5 minutes for that.
Cool. So
Go for it.
the update is, thank you. The update is and Miranda, just you can help clarify how this actually works, as this is my first time through it, but we got $10,000 approved from the NDDA to fund the design and planning process. And so that is the update, which is great, which means we can move forward on that. So we're taking the next steps to coordinate with the American Ramp Company to make that happen. And then Miranda, do you want to just explain how that actually money comes through so it can be spent? Because
Yeah.
that's new. We're not there yet.
The DDA obviously didn't have that budgeted for, so they're gonna have to do a supplemental budget. They actually won't go up for a supplemental budget until town goes for one.
Right.
The town one, end of May, beginning of June.
Mhm.
So Sam, that is something to be aware of, is you can't spend the funds until that resolution is passed.
Right. That makes sense. So that's with that, we'll be able to like start communication with American Ramp Company essentially to say, hey,
Yeah.
we have money
Yeah.
coming up if this all goes, if the resolution is passed, which we're not anticipating it not being passed, then we can move forward with all that. So I should say we got it approved from the NDDA and then it has to go through the formalities and we don't. Miranda, do you foresee any like reasons it wouldn't pass
No,
from your
I don't.
perspective?
It was a big
Okay.
discussion. There were some people who were like, well, we'll approve it now, the ask, but then we can always deny it in the supplemental budget. So I chimed in, I was like, it's really shitty,
Why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why would
Yeah.
you do that? You don't give them false hope. If you don't want to approve it, don't approve it tonight. So
Right.
happy approved. What's great though is that this will allow Sam and Jesse to run through the whole NPP process. By the time the funds are approved, the NPP process will be done. And Sam, I owe you an email, but your next steps are Youth Advisory Board on Wednesday, May 17th.
It was 18.
Whatever that
It's-
Wednesday is.
You're right. You're probably right.
And then Planning Commission on May 24th, Board of Trustees on June 6th. So by the time it goes to the Board of Trustees,
Okay.
the supplemental budget, if not approved, will be close to. So then they would have finished getting the approval from all the respective boards and commissions.
Makes sense. And I'll try not to use up any more time, but quick question for you there, Miranda.
Yeah.
With the planning commission, we don't really like have anything for them because that's kind of this step,
Yeah, I would say it's just a concept review. Just
Okay,
ask
cool.
them kind of the same question you've been asking the whole time. What do you think? Do you have any concerns? They'll be aware that the use group table says you have to run it through the public process. And so I think we're just asking for feedback.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I think the original idea has gone before the planning commission, but obviously not your presentation.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, that's my update. Thank you for helping out with it, Miranda, and
Yeah.
clarifying the details of it.
Well, congrats, Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And the planning process is just for the concept design, and then you have to do it all over again once you actually proceed beyond that?
That's a good question. Miranda, do you know if we go through the planning process with we finish up the Nederland planning process and then we actually go through the design and engineering process where they help with facilitating community input on the track, like desires and stuff like that, with American Ramp Company, considering we use them and everything like that. But then do we need to take it back through at any point, Miranda, once we're ready with it?
No, I would advocate that we'll hold a public hearing.
Okay.
You have to have a public hearing before the building permit is issued, and really you're more of like an excavation permit. That we'll just invite those respective boards and commissions to your
Yeah.
public hearing with the Board of Trustees.
And then we have to raise money between then and then, so that's sort of the next step. But it's good to know that we don't necessarily need to go back through the public planning process.
I do think
Um,
their fundraising efforts need to be sure they're on Nikki's radar, because we can't spend money. If you donate to us, we can't spend money unless it's budgeted for. So we
Okay.
want to put that into the 20. Am I safe to assume, Sam, construction wouldn't happen this year, or is there a goal for it to be constructed this year?
Unless we just knock it out of the park this summer, which is always possible, but yeah, probably not. Probably next summer is the reality.
Right, because if you think that there's a chance we're going to construct it this year and get the money this year, we need to put it in the supplemental budget. But I think it's safer to just put it in the 2024 budget.
Yeah, safer to do that. And then if we raise the money really quickly, because we got to go through the planning process too, and then we'll know, okay, here's the budget ranges we need. We'll have the shovel ready plans to go raise money.
Cool.
Yeah, let's plan on next year. And if
Okay.
that changes for any reason and we're like, hey, we have a ton of money right away, really fast, we'll let you know. We'll figure it out, I assume.
Yeah, I think we're hesitant to want to do supplemental budgets
Yeah.
more than once a year, because it's a whole lot of work.
Makes
And it's
sense.
hard to do a supplemental when you're in the middle of budget planning for the next year. It gets things really complicated. So we
Cool.
did it last year, but Rita's preference would be to not do it again.
Sounds good.
It's either it gets in the supplemental that's gonna come forward in the next 6 weeks, or it waits till 2024.
Yeah, I think within 6 weeks is not something that makes sense.
Okay.
Great. All right, thanks, everybody. And again, congrats. It's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
It was a very exciting meeting. Y'all
Tried to not make it exciting, but I
very
got a little fired up at one point.
driving at the time, so I kept losing reception. And every time I would jump in, things would be very chaotic, and I'm like, what's happening here? It was a good time, Sam. You did an incredible job. Sam and Jesse prepared. They talked about reading their master plan in advance. I was really impressed about how ready Jesse and Sam were to speak to the DDA's goals. So
Nice.
congrats, Sam. Very excited.
Good team.
Well
And
done.
we had a bunch of people call in and voice their desires to have the track as well and have it funded. So that was helpful, I think.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yes.
I do just want to say hi to Rhea. Thanks for joining us. We're not quite at that section yet, but just wanted to recognize you and thank you for joining us tonight. All right, so the next informational item, Casey and CT and Jesse and I and Nikki were at the Boulder County Commissioners Trail Town Hall last week, and we just thought it would be good to just give like a quick 5-minute report back on what they discussed. Do you want to start? Or-
Do you want to go and then I can do the
Chip in.
Toll Ranch one and then. Oh, yeah. whatever.
Cool. Yeah, why don't you start since that was
Okay.
the core.
Sure. So yes, last week we attended we met with the Boulder County Commissioners. It was a really well attended meeting with a lot of different folks in the community. Really good turnout, and they gave 3 different updates. And the one I'll talk about is the Toll and Ranch Trail that Boulder County has been working on, and it's going to provide connection from West Magnolia to the Jenny Creek Trail. So it's kind of like right up behind Eldora Resort. So it's a 5-mile trail, and it'll be able to be used by hikers, bikers, non-motorized horses, and leashed pets. And it's private land, so they're using an easement to give access. It'll be the use from the spring to the fall season. They're actually, speaking of renaming trails and areas, they don't think that the Toll Trail is the final name, and they're trying to come up with some other name. So I kind of also wanted to flag that depending on CT's presentation and process, it might be worth it to reach out to Boulder County about how they're renaming that. It's kind of similar, maybe.
That's very interesting.
But yeah, and so I guess there's kind of a lot of moving parts with this trail because it also overlaps with forest, US Forest Service land, and there's a whole process for them to go through. And I think they eventually want to connect this trail to Dead Man's Gulch, but that will have to go through this Forest Service federal process. But I think they're planning on opening the trail soon. I guess they did kind of a soft opening maybe last fall. But I think the plan is for this to be open soon, and it's very exciting.
Did they provide any maps? I came to the meeting a little late.
They did, yeah. And I would imagine we can get that present. Yeah, you must know the contact for.
That'd be great.
Yeah,
Really good news.
yeah. If they showed some pictures of it too, it looked really pretty.
Yeah.
So.
I'm excited to get out there.
Yeah, and then the other 2 updates were, I guess it was primarily about sort of visitation numbers. They sort of reviewed visitation numbers for their 2 primary properties up here, so Caribou Ranch Open Space and Mud Lake. And I won't go into details, but essentially, not surprisingly, increased visitation in the last bunch of years, particularly for Mud Lake, much less so for Caribou Ranch Open Space. So, they talked about that and that being part of sort of the conversation in this larger comprehensive plan that they're working on. Nikki asked a really smart question about like regional trails planning, and they mentioned that there's something called NOCO Places 2050 that has a bunch of entities involved in it related to conservation and trail planning. So
There's no.
Yeah, so, but they have a website if we want more information. But yeah, and then do you want to add anything to that, or, because I'm sure you know more
The
about that.
one question that I asked was, is there a regional plan for trails in this area, and how does that relate to Nederland? And that was one of the questions that I asked. And their answer was basically you can go to the NOCO 2050 website. But basically there are too many entities involved. And the city of Boulder and the National Forest Service, specifically the National Forest Service, are very difficult to get a hold of, as you can imagine, with them being as short-staffed as they are. And so they basically said they've had a lot of groups throughout the years that have attempted to make progress at this, but it's really just a stalled effort to come up with a regional plan. And I think it's really important to have a regional plan. It'd be nice to know that Nederland would be the coffee shop in the middle of the trail system, so that people who are hiking potentially from Idaho Springs all the way up to Estes Park would know that Nederland is right there on this map. If you need supplies or coffee or whatever it is that you need, you stop in Nederland and spend some dollars here. So that's important to me. I asked also if there was any plans to connect Nederland to the trails that are already existing. And they mentioned the plan that we've had for multiple years to connect the end of the sidewalk to County Road 130 up to the high school. And I said, yeah, that's our hope. They shot us down on that before because that's $1 million section of sidewalk. And they cited at one point in time that Kayla Evans, the landowner there, wasn't willing to cooperate. Kayla is very willing to cooperate. It really comes down to money. And that piece is a very large amount of money for a very small piece when Boulder County doesn't have that kind of funding. So
Yeah. And Kayla was there too. She was like,
Kayla was there, and I was like, there she is. There's the lady. So,
but yeah.
It was really well attended.
And there were a lot of different people there, a lot of several members of the board of trustees, the mayor, some folks from BMA, Boulder Mountain Bike Alliance, a bunch of people from Eldora, Civic. So yeah, there was a long conversation about parking both at the high school and then down at Hesse, and sort of the need for more shuttles and the appreciation of what they are currently doing, but the need for more. So,
And they did talk about the future possibilities, I think because we had some about, once the high school's full, people parking on the sides of the roads and the concern of trash. And so they brought up, I guess they wanted to maybe do a timed entry for Hesse, but this year, but they just didn't have the manpower to get that up and running, to get that software up and running. So I think the goal is for 2024 and 2025 at the latest. So we'll maybe be seeing that. They also talked about shuttle expansion to weekdays, because I think right now it's just a Friday to Sunday shuttle. And then also, this seemed like not a pretty far off possibility, but I guess there's been demand to expand the shuttle to 4th of July trailhead, and that's just something they mentioned as a future possibility, but it doesn't seem like that's very
wild
feasible.
ride, yeah.
I will say though, that would be if I could chime in, sorry, I should raise my hand here.
Oh yeah, what's up?
I think that would be a valuable thing. It's sort of outside of us in a way, but I think it would be valuable because there's been a lot of times where I've tried to take people up to 4th of July, that were in town that didn't want to get up necessarily super early to go up there. And it's there's no way to get up there.
Yeah.
And
yeah. And I think
it would be great.
It was just a really interesting thing to be at, to see all the different parties. Cause the stuff that's technically in our jurisdiction is not, but that affects all of the people in this community, and it affects this community. So it was just good to meet a lot of those people and to hear what the concerns were from the community members there. So, but.
Did they bring up the idea at all of a partnership with Eldora? Because they obviously have a ton of parking and some kind of cut through trail being built down. I just didn't happen to make it, so I was curious.
Yeah, so Brent was actually there. And did raise some concerns he has around the toll trail, because it will because they're closed right in the summer. So he was raising concerns about that. And then someone our sheriff person, deputy who is here at nights, kind of brought up the idea of parking at Eldora as a shuttles to Hesse from the Eldora parking lot, and it sounded like he was, kind of raising that that's more complicated than just doing, but it was, I don't know all of the background or the politics there, but it was raised, so.
I
Cool.
think, what was it, the GM from Eldora said that
Yeah.
it's kind of tied to the Boulder County special use permit that Eldora, that really limits a lot of what Eldora can do in the off season. Like they said, I think there's like 6 events in the summer or something. And
Yeah.
so I think the on-site parking is tied into that, but it's something that they said they're gonna be revisiting with the county, because I think every couple of years you have to get your special use permit renewed, or revisited, so,
Although my guess would be that they have to be also thinking about year-round stuff, like year-round programming and and activities they can offer up there. So if I were them, I probably wouldn't want to get into a deal. I mean, that's complete conjecture, but if I were them, I wouldn't want to get into a deal where I gave up all my parking, because they're not going to stay in business if they don't have summer activities in like 5 years.
It's a lot to do with the elk migration.
Yes, and there is, of course, wildlife
Mhm.
issues. So yeah, I think that's it on that.
Thank you for attending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super interesting.
thanks to Casey for giving me a ride home. It's like,
Oh, you found me
who
right.
wants to give me a ride home?
Someone will.
So Nikki, I had the IMBA conference report back and then your staff report, but Jesse's not here, so you just want to
Yes.
combo the two? Is that
Jesse
cool?
is officially on.
He is,
and
okay.
I will note that Nikki is wearing an IMBA hoodie, or.
I'm wearing my swag,
Cap.
Jesse.
Nice.
Oh, wait, no, that's Jason.
Oh,
Same
that's Jason.
initial.
Okay.
Jason threw us off by
Oh,
camera.
so yeah,
Everyone.
Nikki, if you just want to do
Yeah, let me
both,
skip to my staff report,
yeah.
which
Oh,
ties into IMBA a lot.
Yeah, if you could just do both, that
So,
would be, I think.
Yeah. So my staff reports, FYI, are always that I do for the BOT are always for the previous month. So in April, my staff report pertains to the month of March. The staff report for the month of March. So we ended the rink season longer than the rink had ever ran. We were able to push the rink season with being actually staffed instead of just run by volunteers. We were actually able to push the end of the rink season by almost a week. And that was pretty miraculous. The rink board is all very, very pleased, surprised and pleased, with how well the town did running the rink. It is an incredible source of revenue. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I am mind blown at what a happy place that is. And how many opportunities we have as a revenue source at that location. Not just during the rink season, but a lot of money comes in during rink season. I mean, we had people from all over the world, all over the United States coming specifically to see the rink.
Wow.
It's the Google Maps and it's
And there was a TikTok.
there, I was gonna say
The
TikTok
viral
It was a viral TikTok.
and all of them, like, really that all have to do with the rink. It's really a
Yes, that's-
special place. Whether you ice skate or whether you don't, come up and see the rink on a Bluebird Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and you'll see it's packed with people in disco nights, bringing thousands of dollars for just a short 3-hour session. So now we're talking about expanding, disco nights to do things like hairband nights and Hawaiian shirt night or whatever, things like that, because those kinds of activities did really, really well. And then my team and I, we all took a field trip to an Avalanche hockey game, which was
Nice.
awesome. So that was really fun. It was a nice way for my team to build some camaraderie. So we had netter days, rough weather on Saturday, Friday night's little square dance. I think I can call it a barn dance anymore. It just wasn't a barn dance, but it was like a square dance. But it was well attended. It was very fun. People really enjoyed that piece of it. And then the weather kind of pooped out on us on Saturday. So Saturday wasn't as great as I had hoped it would be. We learned a lot about what we should do and what we should not do, and what worked really well and what just was not necessary.
It was so
The-
cold.
It was great, yeah.
The hot cocoa trail was a huge success.
Oh,
So
cool.
I think when we do it again, whenever that is, we would double or triple the amount of hot cocoa mugs, the little cappuccino.
Yeah, people still keep asking about that.
Yeah.
They sold out so fast, yeah.
They did, and they were a huge hit, and it was really fun to get everybody moving around town and stuff despite the cold weather. The merchandise, not so much. We didn't really need that. It was our first year, so maybe that was something that we would have not done hindsight, but, a different time of year has been discussed to do Netter Days when we're doing the town lighting ceremony. Then we do the town lighting
I
ceremony.
saw that on your goals.
Santa comes.
Yeah.
Marie the Yak comes, and we incorporate the holiday market into all of that too. So that kind of stuff, but we learned a lot. We made a little less than $600 for the youth scholarship fund, for the Parks Scholarship Fund. So some of that money is going to pay for some of the Nederland High School or Nederland Middle School kids that went to a camp recently. We rearranged town hall, moved some offices. That was an opportunity for all staff to get together, which was really quite fun. We actually like each other.
Aw.
That we do.
So it was pretty neat. So in my staff report, I talked about, the warmer temperatures, trash is coming out of the snow. We can use help with trash walks, things like that. We have town cleanup day. Do not forget, please, if any of you want to volunteer, you get a burrito and you get to recycle and throw your trash away for free. And we are desperately seeking volunteers, always. And on that note, we are seeking volunteers. The first date that's gonna come up, I have mostly planned out. I put out a list in the BOT packet of 5 different days that I'm asking for volunteers for parks, specifically for the Barker Meadow Park project. The first day is May 31st, and that May 31st date is gonna be a lot of planting. There's gonna be a lot of planting, I ordered, today I ordered 75 bushes that are gonna come in between 1 and 5 gallons. So it's gonna be a lot. Also a little bit of trail building, things like that.
Are there certain times, or is it like any
Yeah, I was
time in
gonna
the 10-hour shifts that you guys do?
Well, I'm
How about it?
We'll start to sign up and like how many takers I have on this, then we would come up with a time. Typically, when I do a volunteer day, we start at 9.
Is that a
Okay,
Wednesday?
it's
A
a
Wednesday?
Wednesday, so.
May 31st is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this will be a
We
9.
join like.
Yeah,
or
and
party.
then I have the next one after that is June 7th, and then I can't remember what they all are.
June 7th, June 17th,
Thank you,
June 21st, and July 1st.
thank you.
How do we sign up, Nikki?
So in the BOT packet, right now, I'm not really pushing this out, but it's in the BOT packet. There's an attachment that says Parks Volunteer Days.
Okay, and
You can
that
also just,
has sign up instructions.
yes, you can also just email.
Yeah, it's actually just like a sign-up sheet, and it just says email Nikki, so I think just email Nikki.
Okay.
If you're interested.
Email me. Until we push it out to the public. And then on that note as well, the weed pulls that we have typically run in the summertime are gonna be really difficult this year because, the sort yard is not taking they're not taking weeds at all. And they're not taking the paper bags either. So Boulder County is working with us right now. We're trying to come up with a plan to bring in a dumpster that's specifically for weeds. But right now, we have no place to take them. So
Wow.
at the moment, if I did a weed pull right now, say, I would have to put them in the landfill. Which is
Could,
bad no, but Rhea,
get a
maybe,
burn permit from the fire department?
what's a burn permit?
Yeah.
So they're without a chief right now, so they're not planning any burn things like that. So in years past, we've had Rhea, has been awesome enough to spray for us in certain locations that are pretty gnar. So perhaps Rhea, I don't know if you're still doing that or not. Are you still doing that?
Well, I am a licensed pesticide applicator, but I guess I just worry about the public perception about spraying herbicides, even environmentally friendly ones.
Mhm.
And one of the things that we've been doing for years is at Chipeta Park, noxious weed pulling. And I'd like to see that continue, even if you can't compost the weed bags, even if they have to go to the landfill. I don't care. We need to keep the weed seed down and keep pulling, especially now that the pump track will probably be going in at Chipeta Park.
Yeah.
We just need to keep after it. So I actually was hoping PROSAB, or maybe Nikki, this is your thing, like schedule a Saturday sometime this summer in late July or August, where we can have a bunch of people and volunteers
Yeah.
pull weeds, and I'll help out. I don't care if we can't compost, and it still needs to happen.
Yeah, that's,
And then if the town would like to have some noxious weed spraying in other locations, I would say let's do it away from homes and away from businesses and not in a public park like Chipeta Park that's heavily used, because I think that's just going to freak people out. But we
Yeah.
can talk offline about that.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest, yeah, maybe some offline talking, and then we can definitely put it on as a discussion item for the next agenda as
Sam
well.
has his hand raised. I just want to acknowledge, can't see it,
Sam,
but Sam.
Yeah, I can ask it as a discussion item. That's fine.
so I am one employee down. I'm looking
Oh.
to hire, so if anybody knows anybody.
Sorry, actually, just had a quick question on
Sure.
when you do start promoting the volunteer days,
Uh-huh.
will there be something that we can like share out, like on?
Yes, after I
Okay.
get back from my vacation, so that week of May 15th, we'll start, I will really sit down and look and see where we're at with the seeding, the tree planting, things like that, and really get that list finalized. Then Peter will start pushing it out to the public.
Great,
So,
cool.
I was just gonna ask, did you want to, or have you already run that irrigation line before the big planting day on the 31st?
no, the irrigation is just a drip line.
Mhm.
So I'm waiting for Grapes to come in. Grapes Excavating is gonna come in and dig from our tap, because we've already tapped. So Grapes is gonna come and dig a trench to the irrigation that's already been put into the ground. And then once that's done, then we'll just start running the drip lines.
Sure.
So that'll be part of one of those volunteer days.
Just, yeah, if you need any help with that in advance. please let me
Awesome.
know.
Awesome. So I am one employee down, so if anybody knows anybody that wants to come and work for town, it's the best department you can work for, and in my opinion. And, so it is a full-time job. If you know of anybody, send them my way. And then I talked about Bentonville. That's definitely the biggest news. Oh, by the way, if you haven't been down to Curcio, the guys made a heck of a lot of progress last week, so they did quite a lot. We've got the next batch of large trees scheduled to be planted April 29th, and then the hydro seeding will be done sometime right around May 12th, May 15th, right in there, the hydro seeding.
It's incredible. It's great.
It's looking good. I've seen it.
Like finish date at this point.
I think we'll be done by July 1st. That's why I only put volunteer days out till July 1st.
Nice.
GoCo wants me done by September 3rd.
Yeah.
So I'll be done.
Nikki, who are you using to do the hydro seeding?
McCollum's and Triton
Oh.
Environmental.
So Triton actually does the fiber hydro mulch, or it's McCullum's does it?
I'm not, so Triton has the soil amending, Triton's doing all of the soil amending, and then McCollum's is doing the application.
Okay, that's good to know that they have a hydro seeder. Thanks.
Yeah, McCollum's actually is from up here. So.
Yeah, Gilpin
Steve is-
County.
Yeah, Steve is bringing his hydro seeding equipment back just for us, for this project.
But they're doing it in May, not in not later. Oh,
Yeah, they're
anyways,
in May.
okay.
So we went to Bentonville and it was amazing. I cannot believe how much I learned, and I went with the intention of, on my off time, I guess I'll go to the Walmart Museum because I knew nothing about Bentonville, and was mind blown. First of all, I happened to be there over their 150-year celebration. So next year is Netherlands' 150-year
Right.
celebration. So we should all start thinking of like
Yeah.
ways we can make this town really a hit for a celebration day, or a weekend. I wrote in my BOT, in the BOT packet is a thank you letter that I wrote to the BOT and to PROSAB and to everyone. In my thank you letter, I gave some of the bulleted points of things that I learned and brought back with me. In my off time, I did go to the Walmart Museum, but only because it was right where we were having the conference. So I went in and it was exactly what you think it was. The birth of the super center. However, the Walton family has poured millions of dollars into that community, and it is amazing. Everything is free. Their art museums, all of their trails, their sidewalk systems, everything connects. Their connectivity is incredible. It's something to be definitely desired and strived after. So I'm going to read through some of these points really quickly because I think it probably sums up everything for me and Jesse. I don't know, maybe Jesse will have more to add too, but we do want to begin thinking about trails in a really intentional way, from our planning process to the years of maintenance in the end. We really want to think about, instead of just saying, yeah, let's get a grant, put a new park down at Barker Meadows. Let's think about that piece of park in an intentional connectivity type of manner. Instead of just putting in a park at Barker Meadows, maybe we wanted to look at the sidewalks on First Street first, and how are people going to get to that park? Or what are we going to do about the parking at that park? You want to come up with a vision, you want to assess that, you want to think about the feasibility of it, then come up with your concept and your uses and how you want to work that park or that trail or that whatever it is. So one of the things that they talked about there that might affect, or CT might be interested in hearing, is that you want to wait to name your trails and your amenities. The reason of this is because naming rights can be used as a source of revenue when you run out of money for your build. So if we are putting trails in that are going to connect us to the Mud Lake Trail System, we may also have a volunteer that puts in hundreds of hours on these trails. And potentially we would want to name a trail after a volunteer. So not necessarily at the Joe Smith Park, but so in the future, we would really want to consider holding off on naming. They did the same thing at our skate park. Skate park wasn't named until the end. Tony Hawk had already given $25,000 and we ran out of money. So in the end, Tony Hawk paid $50,000 for the name, Nathan Lazarus Skate Park. So the name shouldn't come first. The name should be something that we are thinking of later down the road. You want to think about sustainable trails. They're not just environmentally friendly. Sustainable trails consider your environmental, your social, and your economic sustainability. You ask yourselves, will this trail be good for our environment, our community, and our budget for years to come? And consider our future needs. Consider trails for all. So we're talking about a downhill track, but you really want to consider trails for everyone. So maybe we need that downhill track. I mean, yes, probably, but you want to consider that extreme enthusiasts may tell a story, but it's the easier trails. It's the trails that get you out there, that those people are the ones that are going to bring in your visitors, and it's going to grow the love of the sport and the love of the area. This is a big one for me. We want to recruit the best trail builders. We want to recruit the best builders. You use trained staff, not necessarily the new guy or a volunteer. Give volunteers and new builders little projects, but don't rely on them, the volunteers or the cheapest builder, to build the trail that you want to last for generations. You're gonna pay so much more in maintenance and down the road if you're not using a reliable, certified builder during the process. And you gotta also consider that town is liable if someone gets hurt on your build. So you wanna focus on beginner trails or town trails that can connect to the more technical trails outside of town. And then I put in big connectivity. We gotta get connectivity from West Magnolia to here, from here to Ward, connectivity. Pump track should be the center of the attraction. Pump track to the bicycle playgrounds, out to the trails, out to the bicycle parks. There are those things, bicycle playgrounds, bicycle parks. Really cool. You want to have a team to help you plan these things, and your team should have a vision that is inspired by your team, but the vision should inspire your team. So your team inspires the vision inspires your team, back and forth. You should focus on the we can't, not on the can we or can't we, but we should, because it's right for our community. So in that respect, you sometimes have to shut down the 5 people who are complaining so that you can satisfy the needs of the 150 or 10,000 people that are going to benefit from whatever it is that you're doing. But build momentum through a region or a district. Is there a regional plan? We need one. Start with high quality plans and high quality builders. So on the topic of funding and budget, current market prices, a single track trail, which is just a, skinny trail, you're looking at $45,000 to $75,000 per mile. A mountain bike trail, you're looking at $65,000 to $100,000 per mile. A bicycle playground is $9 to $13 per linear foot and $1,000 to $5,000 for prefab features. And a pump track, you're looking at about $30 to $40 per square foot. We need to think about our breweries and our restaurants. They make excellent partners, sell a beer, buy that beer, and the dollar goes to parks to fund this project or whatever it is. You use volunteer hours to show what we can do as a community. Do not use volunteers as a match for grants, as long-term maintenance or intense projects, and reward volunteers. Give them a badge, give them a trail name, name a bench after them, whatever. This is, this tree is whoever's tree. And then maintenance and risk management. Every time it rains. So this is a quote from a guy who was with us in our conference named Gary Vernon. Gary Vernon is the president of Buzz Trails, and he was speaking on dirt versus asphalt pump tracks. And he said every time it rained, the track would be closed for days. It became a maintenance nightmare. We found far less injuries because of asphalt. Plan for 25% of your build cost for annual maintenance using natural dirt surfaces. It's far less if it's asphalt or concrete. So 25% of your build is going to go back into that every year for maintenance if it's a dirt track. He also gave me the really good thought of, or they did, of using EMS data. So using the fire department and ambulance to find problem areas. This would pertain for me in all of my world, playgrounds, trails, every place. So actually I talked with the fire department this week and said, if you guys find that you're being called to Chipeta Park multiple times in a season or whatever, let me know. And so recently there was an article in the Mountaineer about someone who fell through the ice at Chipeta, and I had no idea. And the fire department had no idea. So, which was good to me, I guess, because it wasn't that bad of an accident. But at the same time, if there's something going on in my world, I need to know about it, because it maybe is a maintenance or safety nightmare or problem. And maybe I need a sign, another sign, or maybe I just need to be aware. And then, you can rely on peer groups to educate police trails. Develop your operations and maintenance plans while you're developing your goals for your grant. You're developing your operations and maintenance plan at the same time, because you are going to start maintaining that area the day that it opens. So if you don't have a maintenance plan, you're running blind and you're planning on crisis response. And then before hard opening or whatever, plan a soft opening so that the EMS fire department can come and run drills at your, whatever it is that you're planning. So at Garcio Field, for instance, I would have the fire department do a helicopter landing just so that they would know that they could still land the helicopter, still drive the ambulance out to the field, still have no problems, that kind of thing. It was so much more than that, but I didn't want to write too much. I have probably 10 more pages of notes and bullet points that I created after that event, and it was so worth it, every second of it. And I was able to go around with their director of parks up there, David, has 47 employees, and showed me some of their different things that they do with their parks out there, and how they divide their staff, how they title their staff. And it was amazing. It was beautiful. The flowers were blooming. The place looked great. And what a sense of community. It was a pretty big town, about the size of Boulder or so. And what a sense of community. But everywhere you go there, you can walk or hike or bike. Everywhere you go, from one end of town to the other end of town, it's all connected. Really amazing. So thanks for sending me. Appreciate
Awesome.
it.
Thanks for going.
Thanks, Nikki.
It was worth it.
Great report back.
Yeah.
Do any quick clarifying questions or before we move on into the agenda? Miranda, would you mind if we skip to Rhea's and then we'll go
Totally
back
fine.
to you and me? Okay.
Yep.
Is it,
I'm
sorry,
here.
is it Rhea or Rhea? Sorry,
I'm Rhea.
Rhea. Okay, so
And-
Rhea, we're actually just gonna skip to, so you can get your thing done, so we don't make you sit around for the rest of the meeting. We'll skip to your Fisherman's Lot wetland project. I think you were
Yep.
just fill us in.
And can I share my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
It'll be really.
Okay.
You look-
So I'm Rhea Ortner, married, last name is Robel. I'm a botanist and ecologist. My office is here in the town of Nederland, and I think a lot of you are new on the board. But I'm here to just kind of put a bug in your ear about the Fisherman's Lot Wetland Creation Project. And this is a project that's a joint partnership between Eldora Mountain Resort and the town of Nederland, and also Ignite, which is the group at Eldora that services disabled skiers and veterans.
Yeah.
Anyways, so long story short, Eldora and Ignite have to mitigate for some loss of wetlands when they're putting in the new building up at the ski resort for the Ignite program. And so several years ago, Eldora approached the town saying, hey, we see that this was actually a project by the Sustainability Advisory Board. It kind of was initially their thing. Let's create new wetlands right where Beaver Creek and Middle Boulder Creek come together. And this area here, it's right next to the skate park, and it's known as Fisherman's Parking Lot. I don't know if any of you have ever been there. It's hardly ever used. Maybe sometimes on festivals it's used for parking. And so we're actually going to be starting on creating wetlands at this lot starting in early June. So do you guys kind of all see kind of where it is here? Fisherman's Lot. Here's the skate park, the teen center. Anyways, and here are your trails. And let me just bring up, this is the grading plan for it. So this is a very blurry aerial background. And this is basically going to be the wetland right here. And you can kind of see this tan background. This is all in the parking lot. But this part of it right here,
We might not be looking at
but
anything anymore. Just
Yeah.
because
what's the matter? It's not. Oh,
looking at the map with the red trail markings. I don't know if you want to speak
oh,
anything else.
what happened? Something happened.
This was a matter of some discussion for us last year. The board decided to move forward with keeping this rather than having the mitigation take place elsewhere, but keep it in town. But
Right.
this was a major discussion item, an action item last year.
Oh,
Okay,
cool.
thank you. for
Thank
the
you.
context.
Let's see, are you still seeing the trail map?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, let me see, what do I have to do here?
you could try to unshare and reshare.
Oh, that's probably a good idea, but I'm like lost my, it's always great.
It's also okay.
Stop.
I
Okay,
just wanted to-
stop.
Looking at some.
Okay, share, that was a great suggestion, okay. Okay, I think that's working now, right?
Keep it here.
Give
Yeah,
it a sec.
Yeah, Eldora brought forward a proposal to have the mitigation done.
Yeah, we can see it.
Outside of town limits, by a professional organization for that, but we decided to stick with the original plan, which is.
Oh, I love it.
described here.
Yes, thank you for that background. That was a big part of last year's discussion. In any case, I mean, I kind of see this as now another kind of pocket park for the town. Obviously, the part that's the wetland, which is this big kind of outline, really can't be used by humans. It's more just of ecological benefit. However, this area between East First Street and the wetland is an area that was discussed in the past as maybe having picnic benches or pollinator gardens or additional planting of trees. And that's not really part of the wetland per se. But I know you guys have this big GoCo grant and are probably looking at other funding sources in the future, not that you have funding now. So I just kind of wanted to put it on your radar that this is an area that could use some future park planning.
That's a great idea.
You know, would invite all of you to come to the site when we're creating the wetlands. Excavation is going to start June 5th. There's going to be a big public outreach program happening here in the next few weeks or a month. So you'll be hopefully hearing more about it. We're hiring the Youth Corps, which is run by the Teen Center, to help do the plantings, and we'll be seeding it. In any case, and Eldora is going to be providing, you know, at least one interpretive sign. So, and a bunch of other smaller signage. The path, we're going to make, this is going to be a path here that will be installed here. This connects to the bridge over to the Teen Center. And then, you know, there's already an existing path over here, so it'll connect to this existing path. So we won't be losing pedestrian walkways. I guess that's, do you guys have any questions? I'm not asking for anything or asking for any money. I'm just trying to just keep it on your radar for park planning.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for keeping us informed. This is an incredibly excellent effort. I think will add a lot to town. I'm really, really pleased to see this moving forward. So
Yeah.
for everything you're doing.
Yeah. Yep, and Nikki is involved in the project. She's attended many meetings, so she's in the loop too. So I don't know if she's still on or not, but anyways, but happy to take any questions if you have any.
When is it it's slated to be completed by the end of the summer?
Well, we should have it finished planting sometime in mid-July, but it's going to take a while for it to grow in. So because this is related to the Clean Water Act and there's a big wetland permit with the Corps of Engineers, we're actually required to monitor it for 5 years. So other projects I've worked on in this past, we've seen really good growth within a year, but it'll just kind of depend on exactly what we get for the site hydrology when we dig down into the groundwater table. So.
Awesome. Yeah.
Thrilled at the work.
Thank you so much for updating us. That's really cool to hear about. Is it, so I'm familiar with the area. Is it like the actual dirt parking lot where things are going?
Yeah.
Oh, Cool.
Yeah, so the idea is that they're gonna excavate off the parking lot fill material, and it's actually gonna go into the town of Netherlands defunct wastewater treatment plant hole, the old one, just next door.
Uh-huh.
And then we've done, years ago, we dug one backhoe pit down there, and there's some pretty good topsoil down there. So we're just, basically what it's gonna look, to be honest, it's gonna look like a big hole in the ground in the beginning. There's gonna be a 2-to-1 slope drop here. There's gonna be bench here that's gonna be planted with willows and other shrubs. And then the bottom will be a little bit lower elevation, planted with native grasses and sedges and rushes and wildflowers. And hopefully we'll get into the naturally high groundwater table. Again, Beaver Creek, North Beaver Creek is right here. And then of course, Middle Boulder Creek is down here a little bit south, a little bit off the drawing. So.
Are you doing all native plants?
Oh yeah, definitely. All native plants, trees, not so much trees, but shrubs. And in fact, Eldora has another project this summer up on the ski mountain where there's a bunch of small alder shrubs growing that have to be excavated out. And I'm hoping to transplant those over here because they're kind of hard to find at the nurseries right now.
Love it.
But yeah, they're all native. And then I have, I mean, there's many more details about this, like a whole whole, list of plants we'll be planting, and they're all coming from a native plant nursery in Fort Lupton. It's called Aquatic and Wetland Nursery. And then I just am ordering the wetland seed, all natives too. So
Awesome.
it should be a fun project to watch, and the town's been great to work with. So in any case.
Well, thank you. Any other questions or?
Just a comment, I guess, is there anything that we can do as a board to help with this project now that it's kind of up and running?
I mean, I think that, again, I think the biggest thing your board can do is just think about what you want to do with this area over here. There's going to be a lot of fill material coming out of the wetland right now that's going to be trucked over, but I wonder if it'd be worth looking at the grade over here. Like, do you want to put anything right here to raise up the grade? I mean, maybe it's just too soon because you haven't really thought about the planning.
Yeah.
But if there's anything that can happen now to help with doing anything with this site that would make sense.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it. So.
Well, we really appreciate you putting it on our radar, and it sounds like a really amazing project. So.
One more thing. Ray, are you currently on the NDDA board? Remind me. I'm just like.
No,
blanking.
I used to be, but I did not seek reappointment mainly because of
Okay, that's what I thought.
time. But
I was just to
and
say
this-
that Ray has like been on boards and been involved and is like a really amazing resource if you have questions about this kind of stuff and just in general as well. And is you're pretty involved in a lot of stuff around town.
yeah, I mean, I'm still on the public art subcommittee of the DDA.
Okay.
And so the public, which is really exciting because you guys have probably seen some of the murals go up.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if you know, but just as an aside, the next mural is going to go on the west facing side of the Mountain People Co-op building, kind of right next to that empty lot where the big sign is. And we just went through a big selection process and I don't think the contracts are signed yet, but Jessica Moon Bernstein was selected as the first artist to do the mural. So hopefully all the contracts will be signed and that will be going up this summer. And then there's also this, I don't know if you know, the Public Art Subcommittee is also working on a project called the Picnic Table Art Project, where they have like 6 picnic tables that were donated, and they're hoping to have artists kind of sponsor them and lead youth into creating art on the picnic tables. So I'm not exactly sure. I actually don't know that much about it. Even though I'm on the subcommittee, someone else is in charge of that. And sounds like a really cool project too. So it seems like there's a lot of these projects that interface between the DDA and PROSAB.
Yeah.
So
Great.
anyways.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks,
Appreciate
Rhea. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Okay.
And you're welcome
All
to
right.
stay on, obviously, but.
No pressure.
Oh, I think I need to get home, but yeah,
Yeah, no pressure.
reach out to me if you have any questions on anything. Would love to show you guys the site. If you want to have a site visit sometime, just reach out. My office is, like a couple blocks away, so.
Cool. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
I have one question, but I apologize.
Oh, sure.
Sorry,
um,
Jason.
Let me lower this hand. Anyway, my question was, do you have the scope of work that really goes into depth, more in depth with this project and something that we can look at?
Well, yeah, I mean, I have the concept wetland mitigation plan, and I will email that to, I'll email that to your chair, and she can forward it to everybody. How does that sound?
That sounds great. Thank
Will
you.
do.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay.
Good night.
okay, bye.
Cool. That's exciting.
The picnic table art thing is gonna be really neat.
Yeah.
By the community garden.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm super excited about that one.
Art and parks. Yay.
Better.
All right, so back to the info item. So I asked Miranda just after our work session, there was some talk of like $100,000 here and like the tax measure, and I know that I don't totally understand what is available both to the Parks Department and then what else is available. So I just asked Miranda if she could take 10 minutes to just sort of explain to us what all of that is. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I thought it would be helpful for all of us to understand what money exists and what its function is. And if we have any spending power, we should know about it. And if we don't, we should know that pretty clear. So.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'm just gonna go through some different funds to start. So the general fund has a couple restricted line items. The first one is $110,448 that came to the town under the BCHA Tungsten Village Development Agreement, and it is for it's a dedication of lands for public use. And so historically, some of the conversations were about, using this as match funding. You can also look at it as purchasing money. I think a lot of people wanted to hold this maybe for AmeriGas land. It's kind of why it really hasn't had a lot of movement, because really it's for ideally the acquisition of public land.
Got it.
There's 36,500 that Eldora gave to the town of Nederland when they used Gershio as a parking lot. And the BOT earmarked that as park improvement. And again, historically kind of sat in this fund because a lot of people felt like leverage these dollars for grant matching. And so for us, the rink tennis court, while yes, we have mountain pickleball tennis court plus rinks money, still not going to be enough. A GoCo grant, while they only require 20%, they said you better come to the table with 50 if you want to be competitive, because that's just the new lay of the land there. And so that's why these funds have always just sat, is because I think a lot of people felt like they should be grant match. Doesn't have to be that way, just kind of the history of it. And this money just rolls over from year to year. They're not in any sort of interest-bearing account. It is really just the same money every single year. So PROSAB ultimately has the recommending authority for how these funds should be used, but the BOT would make that final determination. And of course, with guidance from Nikki. You also have your Conservation Trust Fund, which is a restricted fund that we kind of say PROSAB can again offer recommendations for how to use it, but that again still needs to go before the Board of Trustees for use. And let me get to that fund. The Conservation Trust Fund,
30/30.
is that what it is? So it's budgeted 27,000. You did use, I don't know how much a trip ended up costing at the end of the day.
Okay.
But it was 27,000 that was budgeted, and that's about the same. Last year we ended up with 29,000. It's typically that same amount. And your Conservation Trust Fund is your lottery money that we get every year that is earmarked specifically for parks, trails, improvement, and maintenance. Last year you gave Nikki the green light to buy tractor. I don't know if you have recommendation? I think you did have some thoughts about how those could be used.
Resurfacing the tennis court pickleball
Yeah.
Right.
is gonna be some of it.
Is earmarked for conservation efforts, trails maintenance.
Parks, trails, improvement and maintenance. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that last time this came up, it came up at the 11th hour. There was no information for the board ahead of time. And we had to make a difficult decision. I'd like to know a lot more about this conservation money and what the intended use of it is. Because while I'm 100% for resurfacing, that's not really a conservation related
It's improvement.
topic. It is an improvement, but not to a trail or a park.
So your conservation trust fund, let me just kind of pull it up. It is for, funding can be used for the acquisition, development, maintenance of new conservation sites or for capital improvements or maintenances for recreational purposes on public sites. That's, and then, so, but when I called them, because this is the funds we wanted to use to allow Nikki to go, they did determine that the education that would be gained out of that IMBA with regards to trail development would be appropriate because you need educated personnel in order to execute these projects. So that was a minor drop in the bucket, but that was a withdrawal from the Conservation Trust Fund so that she has the knowledge, skills, and ability. Well, she already had them, the advanced knowledge, skills, and ability to be able to execute the projects. But that is kind of the definition, super open-ended. I mean, the CTF fund doesn't really say this is exactly what it's for. It keeps it pretty broad for jurisdictions to then decide how they want to use them.
And that's money every year. It's approximately 25, 27, 29.
Yep.
And every year, like, it's Nikki makes a proposal, we recommend, or some version of that, and then it goes to the BOT, or it doesn't have to go to the BOT?
It has to go to the BOT. And it can go the other way around, but I think it has to be a collaborative effort between the Parks Department, PROSAB, whoever throws out the idea.
Got it.
But ultimately, the BOT has to approve that use because these are all restricted funds.
Got it.
Now, the other fund is obviously your marijuana fund. So a 5% tax was passed on marijuana. It's going to take a while because everyone pays they're paying their marijuana taxes in arrears. So we're not really going to have a good understanding of the amount until probably June. What I can tell you is in 2022, there was approximately $125,000 in marijuana sales from the 4 dispensaries that we have. So that's about $6,000. But that is operating expenditure. So that is Nikki's fund. That is not to be debated. That is for Nikki to use for parks, trails, maintenance, equipment. We dropped it a handful of line items, but it's really like the trails and the parks and the recreational assets and maintaining those. It's not meant for staff, not meant for building expenses or supplies. It is truly just meant for parks, recreation, open space. But I anticipate, I think we budgeted, we had thought about approximately 25 to 30,000 coming in annually, maybe. I mean, that's aiming on the high side, but we usually do on revenue, going to Nikki to offset her budget because Parks is funded entirely out of the general fund. That also shares admin, finance, streets. I mean, all of us pull from the same fund. So this is earmarked specifically for Parks so that if there's ever some give and take that has to happen in the general fund, like with the police department, Nikki does the stuff where she at least has a fund to help continue parks, trails, recreational maintenance. So those are the funding structures. And then of course, Parks has a budget. But if you recall, this is the first year Parks has had a budget. And so that is something new that we're all learning about is, just how much money Nikki's gonna need. We kind of took Public Works and in many ways just divided it in half and repeated the line items. And then in some we deducted from streets and we gave it to parks and the other way around. And so it was really just a shot in the dark. And the reality will come in as we hit towards the end of the year. We'll really see where does Nikki go over, where does she go under, and we'll have a better balanced budget for 2024.
Great.
But that's funding in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions, including computer people?
Looking at computer world.
No questions. Thank you for bringing that up and having Miranda really help us understand it. I think it's valuable.
Yeah,
Agreed.
really appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you. Cool. All right, so last info item is just me. So just wanted to say super appreciate everyone sort of giving feedback on and engaging in the new agenda setting process. The only thing I want to say about that is I hope we can consider this all a little bit of an experiment. So if people have like thoughts on it or concerns with it or anything like that, definitely let me know. Yeah, I don't even need 5 minutes for this. I think mostly just, yeah, if you have feedback or thoughts or ideas, let me know. But otherwise, I really appreciate people digging into that. The timeline will be 2 weeks before every monthly PROSAB meeting. I will send an email asking for people to submit agenda items and including the info sheet. As the informational items will likely not have an info sheet attached because they're really pretty basic, but the discussion and the action items will have the info sheet attached, and I'll attach it in the agenda. And I'll definitely be more of a stickler around the action items, just making sure there's like information and proper discussion and all of that ahead of time. But yeah, so 2 weeks, I'll send it out and ask for it. I did like individualized reminders this time just because it was brand new. I won't plan on doing that regularly. And then a week before is when agenda items will be due. So if you want something on the agenda, you have that week to get it to me, and then I'll, ask any follow-up questions I need to or whatever, and then I'll send out the draft agenda 5 days before the meeting. And then I need to get the final agenda to Miranda 24 hours before the meeting. So definitely appreciate people keeping an eye out for that, and trying to send me any requests you have for agenda items as soon as in that week as possible. But yeah, generally there may be on occasion I may reach out and like proactively ask someone, did you want this on the agenda? But generally I won't, and I only want to have things on the agenda that people really want to spend like the full group's time talking about. So yeah, super appreciate it. And also let's consider it experimental. So let's see how it works and we'll go from there. So any questions?
Just thank you for putting a lot of thought into.
Appreciate the organization.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Cool. Thanks.
I love the new meeting time. I like it as well.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. No.
pretty challenging to the new meeting time I found, but
Yeah.
that's life.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that we'd ever find something that worked for
Sure.
everyone. So it's just the best option out of always imperfect options, I think.
Very much
So,
appreciate it. I'd like a few more hours every day. If you like.
right? Seriously. So appreciate you making it work. So
Thank you for making it happen.
okay, so now we move on to, we actually just have 2 very brief discussion items. So first is that because I took on the chair responsibilities, I wanted to not be on the Trails Master Plan small group with Alex and Miranda and Nikki and the students anymore. The student part of this is like wrapping up in the next month. So, but then the working group will need to continue to actually update the Trails Master Plan. So nobody needs to like volunteer right this second or whatever, but I just wanted to put it out there if someone else is interested in joining that working group to work on the update of the Trails Master Plan. Space is open. So.
I volunteer.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Cool.
And I think, I don't know, I was very confused. I think we landed on every other Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Because then on the alternating Tuesday is Fisherman's Luck. Does that work for you?
Every other
Well,
Tuesday.
starting when?
Starting this next Tuesday, the 25th.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna be able to.
But does it normally work?
No, not at all.
No.
That'll work.
Okay. So I think that's gonna be the hard finding a new time
Yeah.
with the students.
And we should nominate Leah because she's not here.
Yeah, don't let me
Lindsay.
this up.
Oh, see,
My
actually, she'd
only
probably.
hesitation, CT, is like these students are really hard, Sarah and Amanda are
But
not, they're hard to nail down.
by all means, if there's a set time, don't let me upset the
Yeah.
boat at all. I was just trying to fill the slot.
Yeah,
move things
thanks.
along.
Yeah, I gotta get back about my availability. I've been locked out of my work calendar because they made me change my password today.
Yeah, nothing is not, I mean, I feel like it took us a little while to get on that. Maybe it is possible to adjust it. I mean, we haven't met in a long time, so.
Yeah, no, we should meet, but yeah.
Yeah. And I also think, like Alex mentioned, she's fine being the only person. But then after the students are done, then like the big project of the update starts. So it may make
That's a good
sense to,
idea.
it may make sense to just, I mean, if someone wants to work for the next month and a half, the students, that's great, but it may make sense to revisit this in like June, because like that's gonna be the bigger project, I think, really.
Yeah, I think for the next month, I need to revisit their timeline, but I think they're done by mid-May.
Yeah.
And then we need to take the work product that they give to us and take it from
Figure
there.
out what's next.
Yeah, so it would be fine, I think, to have just me on for the next month, and then we can supplement this summer.
Yeah,
Um,
so maybe we just revisit after, like, I guess next meeting, like, or, yeah, maybe you guys let us, yeah, maybe next meeting you give us an update.
Well, I'm
and then-
hoping they can attend next meeting, because in theory, by the next meeting's May 18th, I think they would have a final draft, I'm pretty sure. So,
Yeah, and they've been up here twice in the last 2 weeks, so they're definitely doing stuff, like, we just haven't.
were they able to meet with you at all, Nikki?
Nope,
No, okay.
they never even reached out. So I think I think they had a plan.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I saw the emails that they were coming, but
So the plan is Tuesday to meet at 1, and
That's,
then alternate.
I'm confused. Are we doing this? And I think we're just waiting for them to say yes.
Yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
last I think it was on
Was
them.
the me.
Yeah, ball was in there.
okay, I can do that if that's what we're.
Yeah, I have it just
So-
held for now. And then
Okay.
Yeah. and I also think if anyone, noodles on it and thinks about it and is like, oh, actually, I'd like to start getting involved, like, just email, like, you guys, like Alex and Nikki
Yeah.
and
Yeah, 'cause
Miranda.
we still have to keep it at 2.
Yeah.
Exactly, no more than 2,
Because
because
there's a lot of.
then we don't have to,
Yeah, I don't have to like public notice and then notify people the meeting is happening.
yeah, that makes things really confusing, but, so yeah, especially if anyone I know it's sometimes hard to, like, totally engage computer so especially if anyone online is like, oh, I'm thinking about it, like, just email, so. But, all right. And then, yeah, the last quick agenda item on the discussion was just Nikki, if you wanted to offer.
So I gave Jason, I got to give Jason a parks tour. All the days are blending in together. At one time in Jason's life, he took a tour with me and the Parks Department. It was recent. And we went all around town and showed him some stuff. He learned, I think, a lot about town. He never been to high school, that kind of stuff. So it was actually really, really a fun day for me, couple hours for me. Didn't get to spend as much time in the cemetery as I like to, but there's always time for more. But I think it was good for you. What do you think, Jason?
It was great, just having an opportunity to see the breadth of Nederland. And I was very surprised about all the little pockets within Nederland. It was beautiful to see. Sorry about my dog.
My
He's a bit of a pest, but no, it was just great to kind of see, what Nikki vision is and the prospects of, what potentially needs funding and what could be better, and just really ideating a lot of that. And a lot of things I just did not know, which was quite fascinating. So I think for me, one of the reasons why I think I was, brought here is try to find funding. And so, I think I think on the next agenda item, maybe welcome me to do a presentation about kind of federal state funding, and potential avenues on where we could start looking. And I think it's probably going to be worth, I think, creating like what do you call it, a working group, whether it's 1 or 2 people, it don't matter. But then I can really, it's always nice to work with somebody. That's number 1. So having somebody there with me to work with me, and then to go to all the various meetings, because I can imagine we'll start setting up meetings with individual donors and various other potential partners to give money. So anyway, thank you so much for that tour, and looking forward to learning more.
It was really my pleasure. I really, actually, I love sharing my passion. So that being said, I would love to sign the rest of you up for whenever you have time. I will be theoretically back to work May 16th. So anytime, it takes a couple of hours. And what I found with Jason is it takes at least a couple of hours. And I mean, like I said, we barely touched the cemetery. So it took a couple of hours. And if you wanted to like get a couple of you, we originally planned for Alex. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it that day. And then Jesse Severson said he wanted to come along. So I know that everybody would like to take a tour. Kat's basically lived the tour for a summer with me. But maybe you want to take it again fresh with me being a parks actual department. So either way, I'm here, I'm available. I would love for you guys to come to see some of the visions that I have for Nederland, and give me your feedback, give me your knowledge. Like Jason said, his ability and knowledge of the fundraising world, that's gonna be awesome for all of us. So, but if y'all want to take a tour, I'm available. Said to come back about May 16th.
What's best, to email or text or?
Email me. That way I am not being disturbed while I'm on the beach in Jamaica, and I will get back to you when I get back from vacation, and schedule anytime. Anytime.
Sam
When
has
does
his
your
hand up.
Start.
Huh?
When does your vacation start?
I leave work Wednesday at noon. And then and I'll be back into town earlier than I come back to work. I'm taking a couple days for me, so doing some things. So I'll be back to work May 16th. Sam?
Oh, enjoy. I was just excited for you.
Sam?
And
About it.
then
Yeah, I'm all-
also, yeah, don't answer any messages.
Seriously.
That's the plan. That's the plan. I'm gonna
Um,
keep in the hotel safe because
Yeah.
God knows, last time I went on vacation, I was on the beach and the police department called me. Nikki, I'm like, no,
Nope.
I can't
Find
respond.
another number.
I
Cannot help.
was not,
And then the other thing I was gonna say, just in addition, is Jason, I would be really excited to be working with you on that stuff and like just learn from you and help where I can, because that's something obviously that all these big ideas that I have that we'd like to see done, they need big money.
Nice.
It'd be great to
And
work.
I would just say, like, if
Yeah.
anyone schedules a tour, if they can maybe email the group so people can pop on and, might not work for everybody, but
Yeah.
cool.
When
to-
Yeah.
when I scheduled Jason, it was me and Jason. I figured that was enough for the truck, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna reschedule.
Mhm.
So then I'll circulate the date.
awesome.
Great. Yeah, it is nice to have, so I would say no more than 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Because it is nice to have us all
In
in
the
the same
truck.
vehicle,
Okay.
because I tend to talk as we drive by.
Yeah.
And so I would say,
Chances of getting any more than that at one time are slim anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably notice it.
Yeah, exactly. And then so maybe
Right.
2 at a time.
so,
But
yeah, maybe we just do 2 at a time. Either way, we'll
Cool.
figure it out. I will give you tours. So please come take a tour.
all right, moving on to action items. I would like to make a motion to approve Casey Canilio as the PROSAB secretary.
Second.
Oh, I have to do this. Alex.
Yes.
I'll abstain. Okay. Sam.
I'm sorry, I cut out for just a second. Can you say that again?
Totally fine. We are voting on a motion to approve Casey Canilio as PROSAB secretary.
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And I believe that's everyone, right? That votes. Sweet. What? Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip you.
I seconded it.
Yes, you seconded it. Oh, but then you also
Yeah,
have to vote.
you have-
Okay.
And you have to
I
vote.
vote yes.
You also, do you have a vote?
Oh, yes. Sweet. Congratulations.
Yay.
Yeah.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So based upon your notes from the Trails meeting, I feel like you're a shoo-in, so.
Good.
Awesome. All right. Well, then we move to the last item on the agenda, which is our friend CT Hut with his South Mud Lake open space and signage proposal.
Sorry?
I'm gonna hold it since you're. computing.
Okay, no, you're good.
Here we go. Okay.
For any listening, looking for this specific information I'm about to give, can be found at github.com/bookhut/sml_ranked_poll.
Whoa, whoa. Are you on the
Maybe you
WebEx?
could share that with us.
Are you a software
Can you put it in
developer?
the chat?
Make sure that,
Will you email that out?
yeah, I'm happy to email it out. Members of the public are looking at this information. It's a public repo, so they can easily find it.
Are you grabbing it? I'm just wondering if someone wants to pull it up.
I'll try and describe this quick. This is the description of the tool used to tabulate, but includes all the methodology, and I'll try and get to this.
Well, CT, will you just say it again and I'll pull it up really quick? Y'all gotta look at me instead.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's github.com
GitHub.com, okay?
/bookhut, BOOKHUTT /SML_ranked_poll.
Got it.
You
Nice.
really earned your secretary just there.
Okay, just a little bit of context here.
I'm not up yet. It's like thinking.
Okay,
I looked at it.
there's
Are you up?
Oh, didn't work.
SML_ranked_poll.
I didn't bring it.
I will send a link,
Cool.
so that all can see what I'm about to read. But
I did get it.
this,
Chat.
Yeah, I'll put it.
Sorry, CT.
no problem. Just a little context, a ranked poll, is where people are asked for their opinion and they get 2 or more votes. Votes used in the loosest sense here. First choice, second choice, etc. There's numerous ways to set up a ranked poll, but for the purposes of settling the South Mud Lake open space renaming issue, I tried to keep this as simple as possible. Our poll took place in the agreed upon surrounding area, surrounding the open space. Folks here can have a look at this, but I'm not going to make this map public because it indicates which houses were visited, but not, there was no one in them. The poll was conducted by hand. 65 households in the neighborhood were visited. 39 neighbors. In 23 of those households registered an opinion on this matter, and a brief description of each candidate was given, along with the option for those being polled to nominate a name of their choice. The tool designed at this site is designed to tabulate the results of that poll, and it also tabulates the first past the post results, which is simply who got the largest number of first choice votes. It's how we vote for most things in this country, but thankfully that's changing. The methodology is very boring and technical. Regarding the ethic of this is an example of instant runoff voting, where voters rank candidates in order of preference. The second choice votes are weighted as less than the first choice votes, but still count as a preference and can influence the outcome of the poll. Critics may say that polling of this type can lead to strategic voting or other chicanery. However, many would say that it leads to a more nuanced view into people's opinions and the preferences of the majority. Ultimately, the ethics of any poll come down to transparency and open discussion, which I hope we've demonstrated here by making the script publicly available and answering any questions that people have. So with that being said, I just wanted to say that a lot of the names put forward in this effort, and those include, let me just pull up the actual results, which are also here in a file called Vote Total CSV. The names put forward either at the outset of the poll or added by people as the poll was taking place were Liz Kale, Dave Halleck, Tammy Forrest, Lee Tillotson, the option to keep it as its current name, the South Mud Lake Open Space, A name put forward by people being polled was Moose Meadows. And one more was Sundown and Sunnyside as possible options. Looking at the actual results of this, were as follows. The ranked order winner is Tammy Forrest with 21.5 votes. And the pass the post winner is Tammy Forrest with 18 votes. As such, I put forward a motion that PROSAB rename the area currently called the South Mud Lake Open Space as the Tammy Forest Open Space.
Can we ask some questions?
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Who is Lee Tillotson? We're all, actually,
Yeah.
were all the other names put forward by people when you were canvassing, or were they
No.
any that you came up with?
No, I came up with none of the names for this.
Lee Tillotson is a longtime resident. She serves on her historical society or
Former gym teacher.
teacher.
A local, I'll give you the spiel. A local historian and naturalist who identified rare flora on the lot, which is something I'd like to bring up at a later date. But yes, that's Lee Tillotson. Liz Kale was a writer for The Mountaineer and an author of an excellent book of essays and works called Life at Treeline.
She was my mentor for many years.
Oh,
She was a wonderful, wonderful lady.
Dave Halleck was a nature columnist for The Mountaineer, great defender of the Hesse Trailhead area and an Eldor resident. Tammy Forrest is a 34-year veteran of the Mountain Public School system who cut some paths on that lot herself. South Mud Lake, and the other names were just put forward by people taking the poll.
got it. So the first four you brought to the combo, and then people brought up others.
All names in this were either put forward by other members of this board or members of the community that wanted to have their input made known. I would say for the record that I think any one of these people would make. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, because, right, I was remembering that guy emailed some suggestions.
yeah,
Got it.
yes, indeed.
That guy, what was his name?
Yeah.
Yes, man. Yes, thank you.
But I think any one of these people would make a great candidate in the future as we're looking to do renaming. So we should absolutely keep their efforts in mind and their names close to us. Other questions about methodology or how I went about this or? Okay,
Thank you for doing it. Seems like
Yeah.
you put into it and.
it's a really special place. And
CT, I do have a question for you.
yeah, please.
Do you have any considerations after what Nikki learned down in Bentonville relative to reserving names? If there's any sort of work trying to be done there
I think
that fundraising needs, I was just curious.
excellent.
For you.
Excellent philosophy to keep
Yeah.
in mind. Moving forward, I think there's real benefit to looking at how we could leverage renaming in a variety of different ways, including as a fundraising tool. In this particular case, though, the poll has already taken place. So looking to change methodology and focus more on the financial benefit of this, I think would be disingenuous to the effort that's already been made, and may leave some of those polled feeling as though their opinion wasn't registered as we put forward. So in this particular effort, I would highly recommend that we move forward with the results of this process. But I definitely see the benefit towards using renaming in any way that can promote parks, fund parks, and promote conservation, which is the main thrust behind this effort.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, but
So it sounds like you represented when you were polling. Well, I guess what did you represent when you were polling? That it would be.
I represented that this was an effort on behalf of the Parks Board to rename the lot currently called the South Mud Lake Open Space. I presented people with the information about the candidate names, as I said, and this map, which displays the area. This map was donated or put forward to the Parks Board by Bill Eichler,
Yeah.
local citizen, along with most of the names in this poll.
Got it.
Um,
We have the authority to do this, or is this a thing? It's fine. Okay,
I don't see why you don't.
okay.
The only resource we're asking
The
town
plain
for
number,
is the
got it.
scrapwood to make the sign, which I hope to
You want
collect
the
this
blessing.
Sunday. But first, I would like to, if there's, are there any more questions?
Yeah, I got one, and I'm sure this has already been discussed regarding the names itself and the families wanting their names to be attached to this. I'm sure that that's the case.
That's a great point, and not something that I included in the methodology, but I'll certainly make a note to put it in. Yes, this was always contingent on the possibility that the families of these individuals would not want open space named after a relative for whatever reason. So it was contingent on the approval of those families or close relations, and then we would just move down the line. As it happens, we already have permission from Tammy Forrest. I'll certainly confirm it before we move ahead to move forward using her name for the open space. But great point.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Then I will say, I would like to make the motion that the PROSAB rename the area currently called the South Mud Lake Open Space, with all the rights that it currently possesses, to the Tammy Forrest Open Space.
I second the motion.
Okay. Sam,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Casey,
Yes.
Kat.
Jesse's on now, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Kat, yes. Jesse Severs?
Can I offer an amendment to the motion?
A little late.
I think we have to keep voting once we've
Can I-
started,
Can,
but
can I just discuss something quickly?
Yeah, I mean, it would be ideal if CT took the motion off the table, just to be clear.
I take the motion off the table.
Okay.
okay, thank you, CT. Yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
Well, for one thing, I don't know that I'm qualified to vote because I haven't been here for the whole presentation. And secondarily, I guess I wanted to offer a potential solution to integrate Nikki's point of view, which I share, that's worth a lot of money. And to name something after a person is considered a big deal. Like we charge people $2,000 to name a bench, and a whole park is arguably one of the most valuable assets of the town. And so I was thinking that it would be in the best interest of PROSAB and the town to attempt to gain some revenue from that. And I was going to offer, and that was the best advice from the folks in Bentonville. And I was going to offer that we do a naming of Tammy Forrest to the park in honor of all the hard work that CT has done, and that we've all been moving down this path together towards this effort, and to do it for a time period, so that it would be an honorary first round of naming the park Tammy Forrest Open Space, but that would be declared as a time-bound thing and privilege and honor to Tammy Forrest. And so after that, though, we would either have to renew that name as a board, or we would ideally, in my opinion, endeavor to gain a donor to the Parks Department in exchange for naming that park. And so those are the reasons I'll vote no to this motion. If it would be appropriate for me to vote, but I also want to just say I'm fine with not voting on this, if that's an option. And
You can
yeah.
abstain, Jesse, if you want.
Well, just because I haven't heard the whole argument from CT and all the discussion, I think I'm fine with abstaining. And also, I feel like I've made my points and my arguments well. And so if CT that moves you to want to make an amendment, then I think that would be great. Or if anybody else, if there's any other, since you made the motion, CT, I think I'm going to abstain from this vote.
Well, there's no vote happening right now.
Okay. So
There
those
will
are,
moment.
I got you. Yeah, it seems like it's favorable. So I appreciate you all taking the time out to hear my case and my arguments. And with that, I think I will abstain on this vote because I haven't been here for the whole presentation, unless you feel like, you've caught me up and I've heard everything. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your commentary. Does anyone else have any other questions or points they'd like to put forward?
I want to ask, since Jesse did mention you, Nikki, what do you have an opinion on this?
I thought Jesse's idea was a great idea to name it Tammy Forest Park for a season, so to speak. 10, 15, whatever that number is, I don't know. And then, but, in honor of Tammy Forest, or even to name a piece of a trail after Tammy or whatever. But I agree with Jesse that that is our biggest asset. Right now, it is our biggest piece of asset that the Parks Department has. So, or I should say, undeveloped asset that the town of Nederland Parks Department has. So just something to consider. I love Tammy Forest. She taught both my kids. I absolutely adore her too. And I know she was the one who actually walked out that first trail up in that area that's on private land, and we'll have to deal with that later. But Jesse makes a really good point. So
Does
Yeah.
logistical difficulties to be renaming, obviously there's a sign.
we call
Do we
it-
need to change
we
it.
call it South Joe Smith Park, or we call it Mud Lake Park.
Is it
or-
on maps? That we have
It's
to.
on maps as Indian Peaks Wilderness Part 2 or whatever
Right,
it
but
is.
we would
So
in theory need to change that. I mean, I'm
So,
just curious, if we
I
keep
think
changing. the
you
name
as a
of it.
board have the option of doing whatever you want to do. You can always rename something as well.
That's
Yeah,
true.
like sports stadiums get renamed all the time.
I would just hope that any renaming effort that would happen with any place in the future would submit itself to the same.
Yep.
And active community engagement. I would also say that I think there's great benefit, as I said, to using renaming efforts as a way of generating funds. However, in this case, I think adding some urgency to conservation efforts is the right thing to do.
Let me ask a question, if that's all right.
Yeah, I think this is kind of open discussion, so people
Okay.
should go ahead and discuss before
I-
the vote.
Yeah. What do we think would be a reasonable amount of time if we were to go down that path of having a sort of, how are we referring to it? The idea of a temporary, not a temporary name, but the current dedication for a defined period of time till it comes back up, essentially.
I think that would be a good thing to ponder if this
Because
vote.
I really like that idea, and I think it is something that, as the Parks Board, we really have to focus our interest on, creation of these kind of recreational opportunities, as well as the way that they get funded and leveraging the assets that we do have to really use that in the best interest of the town. And so, yeah, I'd love to discuss how, maybe, to me, is there any sort of thing, Jesse or Nikki, that you guys heard as far as how long these are held, even when money's attached to them?
No, I can't
Okay.
remember. Nathan Lazarus Skate Park does have There's something I read somewhere about a
Does
limit.
that, does that even have a limit?
That's very different. The skate park is embedded into our municipal code,
Mhm.
whereas the rest of your parks are not.
Right, so that's, in order to change Nathan Lazarus skate park, I would have to change code.
Yeah.
This would not be a change of code.
Yeah.
But you know, with bench
Sure.
dedication, when they do that, it's a 2-year, you're buying a bench for 2 years? I can't remember. Do you guys remember?
Longer than that,
I
but
think it was longer than that, but
Yeah.
I don't remember what.
I blocked it out of my memory.
Oh, I don't know. No, I did not learn that in Arkansas.
Okay.
I was thinking 3 to 5 years, and it's also information we could get pretty easily.
Yeah.
Nikki made friends with the Parks Department over there, and
That's sort of that 3-year period was what immediately was coming to mind for me as as something that felt reasonable. Beyond that, it feels potentially a little long.
and I
if
think
we're-
the
There's not money
PROSAB would
attached.
renew it.
Benches are 15 years, Alex just said, so I think, you know.
This is, I think that either this board or future boards which wanted to rename this asset or auction it off, should certainly, or auction off the name, I mean, are certainly empowered to do so. And could do so at any point that they chose.
yeah, logistically, I don't know how you keep track of, if it's not in a code, any, like, I don't know how we would memorialize the fact that there was an expiration to the name and what
Yeah.
would trigger some future board to rename.
Well,
Logistically, I just don't know. I also want to honor whatever you represented to the neighbors. Like, it feels like a bit disingenuous now that there has been
Yeah.
outreach to kind of retract.
but community outreach could be made again. We could rename Gercio Park into Pepsi Park and pocket the money to pay for things. Totally possible, but
That doesn't sound good.
It sounds like.
Please don't do that.
I think that's an awful idea, and I'm not.
Don't give anybody any ideas.
I mean, but I think what Alex is saying is that we did, as a board, approve CT to go ahead with this community outreach and sort of
We
investigation
did.
naming the park. So it, like, at least to me, it doesn't feel quite right to then
Yeah.
take that back.
Yeah.
In addition,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and I completely respect the argument being made, and it does make me hesitate because I don't want to lose the potential revenue source. But I also think we kind of already decided that this was the thing going forward, and the community outreach was primarily to figure out what the name was. And that doesn't mean we have to vote yes on this, but more just to put it out there. It seems like a little bit second guessing a vote we already did unanimously, or no, we didn't.
Yeah. Well, we didn't.
Anyone, if they objected to it and no one said that they did, that's sorry to correct.
Yeah. It's pretty unanimous, I think. in
Yeah,
that way.
I mean, to me,
I think go ahead. Yeah.
so I don't know, like, I totally, I wish we had that conversation earlier, but it does feel a little disingenuous to renege on kind of what we said was okay to go forward with us. Yeah.
I think maybe it's an opportunity for us to have like a learning lesson, and maybe this one goes forward, but because of that, but I
Well-
think we do have an opportunity here that we all became aware of through this process.
Yeah.
More
Also,
so.
like a 5-year time period isn't like a total renege. So just for what it's worth,
That's
we're
true.
out there. I'm not like,
Yeah,
against that idea at all.
Yeah, I'm just from a practical standpoint, I literally don't know
Yeah.
how that's gonna work.
But I mean, none of our other parks have a
Right.
5-year or
Right.
whatever limit to them.
But
Just-
we could do this with every park, right? Like, what's Angel Park named after? I don't know.
Angel.
Yeah.
Well, and
Okay.
Chipeta
Absurd
Park has the land
money
dedication
have.
opportunity.
So it's
Yeah.
not like just this, that, like, if we name this, that we've lost all naming rights revenue.
Yeah,
No, we haven't. Yeah.
you can always rename something. You could always revisit.
Yeah, and I think even if we did this, technically we can still change it in 5 years, even if we don't put a time limit on
Right.
it, because there's the authority
Right,
Yeah,
is,
the future boards may want to name all the parks.
it's not like we can't.
If soon we decide as a parks board to actually declare that our parks are parks and change, change
Make
the
them official,
status and make
yeah.
them official. maybe then at that point in time, you'll look at all the parks and say, why is Angel Park called Angel Park? Why is Tilden Park called Tilden Park? Because it's on Tilden Street.
Yeah.
Why
It
is
could be a campaign.
Big Springs Park?
Right.
Yeah, so we do have an opportunity,
Yeah.
maybe
That's a
soon.
good idea, Nikki.
Yeah. It's a really good idea. And I think
I'm
like
not
if,
changing Chipeta, I'm not changing Gerseel Field,
Well,
but everything
No,
else.
but not all of them have like an actual.
Yeah.
Yeah, not all of
Legit.
them have meaning.
Yeah.
So there are some that do.
it could be a cool like, yeah, campaign to get like public input and like the whole PR branding thing. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I do
And
think, like,
CT's already got the survey equipment set up.
I know, right? In GitHub.
And that kind of like,
The point
that kind
remains,
of gives us the parks within a town idea, you know, like a real a campaign around it that could be
Down
fun.
within a park.
Or sorry, the other way. Thank you.
but I think the point remains is that it's within this board's prerogative to change that at some
Yeah.
point in the future if an operate like a larger campaign arrives. Not that I'm saying we want to like vote yes and then
Yeah.
say we're going to change it in a year, but we already
Suppose you vote,
already
suppose you
have
do vote yes
um,
and just,
we already have that ability without making an amendment, I guess. And I think like, you know, in the conversation, I think, you know, if we voted to have it be Tammy Forrest, like, you know, it'd be good to make sure she kind of understands, like, this may not be
Well-
there for 100 years in perpetuity, but
that was never represented.
Yeah.
A length of time wasn't put on it. And nor is it for any of the names for any of our parks.
I think it matches the neighborhood, Tammy Forest, because we have
Joe
Joe
Smith,
and
yeah.
Tom Riley also in that neighborhood.
I think you're right.
Now we get a lady into the mix. I'm all about it. Let's do this. Take a vote.
well, yeah, you wanna?
Any other discussion items or questions about this?
Was someone that's trying to say something online?
Oh, yeah. Anyone on the computer have anything before CT files another vote?
All right. I put forward the motion that PROSAB rename the area currently called the South Mud Lake Open Space as the Tammy Forest Open Space.
I will again second the motion.
All right. Sam,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
doesn't matter what order I go in, right? Okay,
It's always
Kat.
good to mix it up.
Kat is yes. I know. I'm sorry. I keep starting with the same people. I'll get better at this. I promise. Kat, yes. Casey,
Yes.
Jesse,
abstain? If that's an option?
it is.
Only in PROSAB world, Jesse.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
True. CT,
I vote yes.
Alex,
Yes.
yes. Is everybody right? I said yes.
Oh, you did, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And the motion passes.
Congrats. Good job.
Sorry.
Good
Cool.
job.
Thanks, CT.
They're going apart.
If I was a tiebreaker, I would have voted.
Feel
Do
wrong.
it at the end. so
Oh,
you-
wait, you got one more, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
This is just a quick one. I don't think I can really put that forward myself, given how this is written. I guess so. I put forward the motion to authorize a volunteer, CT Hut, to move forward with a sign fabrication and mounting in the Tammy Forest open space.
Yes.
Would you do it in the same sign fashion as Joe Smith and Tom Riley Park?
Yes, quite the same. Just a routed sign on wood stained. I'd love to get the names of the stains.
I will give you
Perfect.
the materials list. And he has my blessing.
Are you seeking reimbursement or is this you volunteering?
Completely volunteer.
Okay.
Gonna use-
I'm only asking my questions.
I'll take care of the cement. I'll take care of
Okay.
the
Oh, wow.
wood. No problem.
I
Thank you.
have
Maybe.
Couple bags of quick will get the job done.
I think it's, yeah, my thing is mostly that it kind of like matches, so,
I agree. And I love the way that those signs look.
yeah. they're
Thank
pretty
you.
cool.
And we did
Can
tell
I-
you park in the same.
Can I make an amendment to that just slightly?
Well, I take the motion off the table.
Okay.
Seconded. So
It
you
wasn't
can make a motion, Sam can do a friendly amendment, you can accept the friendly amendment or you can deny it. You
Oh.
don't have to put your motion just yet.
It's
Sam,
the
go-
friendly, it's just a friendly amendment. It's just that Nikki approves what you do. That's all.
I'll say that,
Oh, yeah.
and as a further addendum, in case I make a pig's breakfast out of a sign.
I'm sure you'll do great.
and I promise not to have my feelings hurt too badly. Upon completion of the sign, that it too be subject to board approval. Before,
Nikki approval is fine.
Nikki approval.
Yeah, I'm
Nikki
fine
approval
with
I'm not
is
gonna
sufficient.
carry the thing up in here.
Yeah.
Okay, you can show us
Yeah.
the picture, but I
Send
think,
a picture regardless, even if
Yeah.
we don't have to
Totally.
like get approval of it.
but I appreciate Sam's friendly amendment.
It's
So.
good.
Yeah.
Do you accept the friendly amendment?
I accept the friendly amendment. Could we just be absolutely clear? Yeah, it's subject to Nikki's approval. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Fabulous.
I'm
Absolutely.
sure you'll do a great job. It just seems like a good little thing to.
Yeah.
Said-
help you.
say that now.
2 heads are better than one.
All right.
Seconded.
Okay. I will go next for first. Yes, is Kat. Jason,
Yes.
Casey.
Yes.
Alex,
Yes.
CT.
Yes.
I don't have to write this down. Jesse.
Yes.
Did I already say it? Sorry, Jason. No, I already said Jason. Sam.
Yes.
Woo! Party on, friends.
Nice.
Well, thank you for all of your very passionate work around this. We really appreciate it.
Greatly
Miranda.
appreciate the board's input,
Miranda has it.
Oh, okay.
the input of the Parks
I know.
Department.
I know, you real-
If you need any help with like stuff,
Well, it's gonna be pretty dang heavy, so an extra set of hands wouldn't go amiss.
Yeah.
My Parks Department would be glad to help you with this project.
I appreciate that.
aw,
Absolutely.
I'll probably,
Brian has a passion for this stuff, so please use my. Parks
great.
Department.
I may ask for his contact information so I can hit him up for that wood on Sunday.
That's for life.
exactly.
I might have it from farmer's market last year.
Okay.
Nice. Thanks, guys. And
I have
you
two
had a,
quick other business items.
Okay.
Super fast, you are confirmed for Monday the 15th at 5:30 for your work session. The invites
okay.
come through WebEx, just because that's a calendar invite, but I believe the intention is for everyone to be in person.
yeah,
But we'll always have the WebEx component for anyone who wants to join virtually.
In
So
this room.
don't let the WebEx invite throw you off. We aim for in person all the time, and we'll do it in this room. Second thing is advisory board and commission applications are due because we're at the annual renewal time. Sam is the only one who is up for reappointment. He has submitted for reappointment, but it is of course open for anyone to apply for. Applications are due by 5 p.m. on May 17th.
Will we consider it on the 18th?
You will consider it the next day, so
Okay.
we can add this cat to the agenda, PROSAB vacancy, and then it will go for the Board of Trustees for final approval on June 6th.
Okay.
awesome.
Nothing. Jason financing on the agenda next time.
What finance? Jason.
Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. I think that's it. Motion to end,
Did you say you had?
adjourn. Wait,
Those are my two.
Okay.
can I motion to adjourn? I motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Oh.
And then I would just say anyone opposed, but I don't. think-
Oh, sorry.
And
Done.
that
Never.
Yeah, thanks for running a great meeting.
Hey, Kat, use the gavel. You gotta use the gavel.
gavel. Done. Deal.
Y'all.
Oh, man, I thought it was gonna be a little short.